Howdy, everyone. My name's Aaron Kavlin. Welcome back to the further adventures of Russell Miranda. When we left his father's house, an old, not a friend, but obviously some kind of acquaintance had delivered a letter, and that letter was from Jay Deshane, who was his Russell's father's lord when he was a soldier back in the Wen. And the summons was for Russell to meet Jay Deshane. Doesn't say why, but the card that drew it was red, and so that under the solo rules, that is a matter of encouragement for the plot. So it at least has the potential of starting off for the better. So when we left off, he'd gone to sleep, and his mother, Beulah, was making sure that his best Sunday clothes were ready to go. Russell, he has a hard time sleeping, he gets up, and we're going to use our Tricube Tales solo rules to see where exactly he's supposed to meet. Let's see. Do urban locations. Mr. Woolcock kind of chatted with me about how he has his game set up on Roll20, so I added some of those things that he was talking about, and it's pretty handy. All right, so let's see. Urban location, 2-6. Okay, 6 and a 5. Town hall. All right, so that's going to make Russell even more nervous because it's the town hall that's potentially there's other important people there, but I'm going to say that there's a good chance that he's actually going to meet him someplace in private, maybe like an office or something like that, a yard maybe. 4. All right, so it's the town hall, but he's supposed to meet him in his in the Deshane offices of the town hall. So Russell, he really has a hard time thinking about anything else except for this meeting for the day, which is going to take place a little after noon, after lunch. So Russell gets his fine clothes on and heads up to the upper levels of Gilead, walking from the slums that he and his family live in, through the middle class craftsmen, and up and finally until getting to the center, close to the what they call the Hall of the Fathers, Hall of the Grandfathers, where they have their big palavers about the important topics. And Russell, he walks forward, he approaches the big doors, and there's 2 gunslingers on duty with their big irons on their hips. And Russell takes his hat off and says, "I'm here to see Cy Deshane, Jay Deshane." And one of them tips his hat and opens the door and says, "Yep, head on. He's waiting for you. 3rd door on the left." So Russell walks in. The area there's not a lot of official business going on, but the main hallway is full of what would be the courtiers. It's full of courtiers and tradesmen trying to work their magic and get business deals and work trade agreements with the high families of Gilead. and Russell walks past them, trying a little in awe from because he's not spent a lot of time here except when it had to do with his uh, apprenticeship training, and so he walks past, very richly dressed, very important people, a lot of a lot of guns, a lot of gunslingers, and he finds the door that he was told, and he knocks politely, and a voice inside tells him to come in, and he walks in, and there he can see Jay Deshane sitting behind a big desk, a big oak desk with some ledgers and some fancy snifters of brandy, whiskey off to one side. And now we're going to decide, we're going to determine what exactly the point of this meeting is. Another thing I did learn Richard's post was how to use a table, a rollable table. I've never used one before, so I'm going to roll. It's not actually showing up on the video. Complex question. Roll. Betrayal. Ooh. Okay. So that's kind of a big one. Is it? Is it Russell that's being betrayed? I'm going to say 50-50. So four or higher, it's Russell who's going to be betrayed. Okay, so it's not Russell that's going to be betrayed. In that case, I'm going to say that it's very likely that Jay Deshane thinks that he is being betrayed, and he believes that somebody is going to try to sabotage his test to make Jay Deshane look foolish. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's say that's likely. Very likely. Two or higher. And that's the case, just because it sounds cool. Not necessarily because it's more realistic. Okay, so that's what it is. So Jay is actually going to warn Russell about a betrayal, and it probably has something to do with Levi, the guy who was kind of a jerk, although he was supposed to deliver the message. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna work through that. Russell steps forward. He says, "Side to Shane, I'm here as you asked. I see that you are, boy, and right on time. The so Levi got your message to you in time, did he? Yes, he did. He was not very forthcoming about it, though. We kind of had to get it from him. I don't know him very well, Sam, but apparently there's some kind of beef between he and my pa. Yeah, I reckon that would be so. So he wasn't going to give it to you? Well, I don't know if he would have eventually, but he was carrying on about how he wasn't going to give it to us unless I finally did what I was supposed to do and pass my gunslinger test so that my father could be some high and mighty lord. Sorry, sir, I'm talking too much. That was between them. Hmm. Well, Russell, If I were you, I'd keep a close eye on Mr. Levi. I don't think he has your best interests in heart. In fact, I would maybe not walk the streets unarmed, if you know what I mean. And if I were you, I would also suggest you finish your test and wear your guns, earn your guns. I know you can do it. I've watched you fight. We need every gunslinger we can get. And once you become a gunslinger, you won't have to worry about the likes of Levi. So I'm going to pull, we're going to see what exactly type of scene, what the goal of this particular scene is by the Tricube solo deck. Let's see what it says. Easy Agile Challenge. In fact, boy, and Jay Deshane gets up and he takes off his coat, and from his desk he pulls out 3 big Bowie knives, and he says, I know that the instructor has taught you all manner of fighting skills. You ever tossed any of these toothpicks around? Well, some, sir. We mostly have practiced, fighting, trying to just stab people with them. But why don't you come on over here then? Stand right over here. And as he gets Levi, or not Levi, he gets Russell to stand next to him on the desk, and from that side of the desk, it's apparent that there's on one of the pillars of the room, there's kind of a carved silhouette, and it looks like it has been used fairly often for catching the knives that he throws from his desk. Because I think that you will need every trick you can think of, son. Every trick you can teach, every trick you've been taught, and every one that you can remember and master. If you survive, these are dark times, even in Gilead. And Jay takes the knives and throws them. Being Bowie knives, are not really balanced for throwing, so it's not like a super far throw, but it's impressive at the gunslinger parties. And he throws 1, 2, 3, and pops them right into the target. Just slick as you please. Russell is duly impressed. He's not surprised because, of course, Jay is a gunslinger. Why don't you fetch those? And you stand right here and you show me what you got. Don't worry about doing it fast. Just get your knives in place. So Russell walks over and he grabs the knives, tugs them out of the pillar, gets into his position because they have practiced throwing things, just because the gunslingers learn how to fight with all sorts of weapons, spears, bows, tomahawks, all that. And so he takes his aim and he tries to throw. Now, this scene being an easy agility, his agility is going to be a 2-6, and I added this little button macro thingy down here so I can set the difficulty, and it'll do fancy Roll20 stuff. And we'll set that 4, because an easy challenge is 4. And let's see what I get. All right. Very good. So Russell finds himself a good spot and throw. Doom, doom, doom. And it sticks right in one in the neck, one in the gut, and one right in the daddy parts. And Jay claps his hands slowly. That's very good, son. Glad to see you know how to handle one of those. And he grabs one of Russell's massive shoulders and says, "And I've seen you fight with your fists too. I know that you're strong, so I think you manage to hold yourself pretty well as long as you remember that you fight with this and this. Tell me your mantra." Russell looks up at Jay Deshane and he says, "I do not aim with my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye. I do not shoot with my hand. He who shoots with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun. He who kills with his gun has forgotten the face of his father. I kill with my heart." Just so, boy. Why don't you keep one of those knives? Tuck it away safe. Make sure it's always on you. Russell looks at the knives. He walks over and he pulls them out of the column, and he looks at them because not only are they very well made, they're ornate, not like foppishly so. You know, they're not covered with gems or anything like that. But like the handle of one, the head is the turtle, and the other one, the head is a bear. And there are various little pictures of that are various patterns kind of inlaid into the blade, and the handle is of some kind of bone, and it fits very well, and it's very well made. And Russell looks at him and says, "Sire, are you sure? This must be worth more than my entire house." Jay Deshane narrows his eyes at him and says, "That knife is worth so much because of the blood that it has spilled in defense of Gilead. I want you to take it. I want you to keep it, and you watch yourself, especially against Levi. There's something about him I don't trust, but I don't have any proof. But you keep it with you. And I know that you're hesitant. I know that you question whether you want to be a gunslinger. No, don't argue. I'm not angry with you for it. Every thinking man needs to consider such a life choice. A lot of boys, they just do it, and then they go because their daddy was a gunslinger. And they're skilled and they're tough, but they don't always know why they want to be a gunslinger. You have the look of somebody who, if you decide to, and I pray to the man Jesus that you will know why you've done it. So you take that knife and you carry it proudly, and you think upon what it means to defend Gilead and the white. Don't tarry. You need to make your decision soon." All right. It's been good talking to you, Russell. Now you head on home. And you don't need to tell your pop about this if you don't want to. All right. Have a good day, Russell. See yourself out now. And so Russell takes the knife, and as he's holding it, as he's looking at it, Jay Deshane pulls a decorated leather scabbard from his desk and hands it to him and says, "Wear it proud, wear it secret, whatever makes you comfortable, but just always wear it." And so Russell puts it in the scabbard and just for now tucks it into his belt and leaves the Hall of the Fathers, Hall of the Grandfathers. He steps back out. He's kind of in a daze because it was such a monumentous thing for him at least to even go in there and then to get such a prize for his uh, for his efforts. And mechanically, the knife, it doesn't. Tricube Tales doesn't give bonuses necessarily for that, for gear per se, but narratively, it's really a big deal to him. So he walks in a daze. He's relatively well dressed for someone of his station, so he walks around and kind of enjoys the sights. Um, while he's there, he takes his time to eat a couple sweetmeats from vendors that are hanging around close to the castle, and decides to head home. On his way home, let's see, does anything fun or interesting happen on his way home? Does it trigger another scene? Is there another scene before he gets home? I'm going to say it's not too likely. So only on a 5 or 6, something happens. Okay. So as he's walking home, let's see what our next scene is. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Draw a card. Okay. Advanced main plot positive. Oof. So that's a good one. But that's going to be something else. Let's see. Advance the main plot. Right now, the main plot is that I'm going to say that whole experience really impressed Russell, and he is now he is almost convinced now, any shadow of a doubt, that he did not want to be a gunslinger is gone, and he feels very pumped. He feels patriotic. He feels heroic. He's got the young man fire. The battle haze is descending on him in his imagination. So he has decided pretty much now that he's going to. Now he just needs to actually figure out how he wants to fight the instructor. And so he's going to start thinking about that, thinking about the plan that he wants to do. And with this advanced main plot positive, and now we draw again. So he's had a mind change. Uh-oh, a joker. Okay. Zoom that one up so I can see. Man. All right, so, man, I get a string of face cards all the time when I'm running these, it seems. So we will roll and interpret. Interpret. 4. 4 is I have to zoom with that. I have to zoom. Okay, a new location. Okay, so he's going to find himself in a new location. Let us roll what kind of new location he's going to find himself in. Then we'll have to decide if he gets there in kind of a, well, I think it would have to be an interesting way because of what's going on. And it also, oh wait, no, it just said roll. So let's roll. Location. Urban location. I didn't add that one to the table. Come on. All right, so we'll say 1, 6. Usually I try to go one that's more distinctly to the left, but if they're pretty close, I just go to one on top. 1-6 for the location on my urban locations table using the Tricube Tales solo. 1-6. Depot or a warehouse. Okay. So how does he get to a depot or a warehouse from where he's at? All right, so I'm going to say that in his as he's wandering, thinking about his realigning his thoughts to the new purpose he has of defending Gilead and wanting to be a gunslinger now, he finds himself just wandering in the various areas, thinking, not really paying attention to where he's at, which is not really the best way to go especially since he's kind of well dressed. So he finds himself in an area that's used by the tradesmen to store goods. Then we'll go ahead and see what happens while he's in there. Another one. Advanced main plot. Positive. Okay, so interpret the results. All right, I'll tell you what. I think that's almost too many face cards, so I'm just going to skip that. Skip that one. All right, you know what? I'm going to shuffle. I'm just getting too many things here. Okay, a hard brawny challenge. All right. I'm going to say, just to add a little excitement, a little more excitement to the scene, that he is going to be mugged. He's walking around this part of town, and he looks up and he realizes that there are some rough drover-looking type guys sitting there punching fists. A couple of them got some whooping sticks, and I'm going to say that there's a chance that these are affiliated with Levi and the warning from Levi. Let's say 5 or 6. It's related to Levi. Okay. Sure enough. So what we have is a group of men, and he was not paying attention at all as he's walking through these warehouses, pondering about what a brave gunslinger he might be, and living all these childish fantasies in his head, and then he finds himself surrounded by 5 or 6 of these men, and one of them, he's an ugly pock scarred cuss. He looks at him and says, "Hey, Raven, you know, Mr. Levi didn't really like your tone last night." Ding! Spits a big old gob off to the side there. And, well, we all take exception to that. Don't we, Clay? We sure do. In fact, I think we need to teach you a lesson, young sprat. He looks at these men, and they are not, they're not like normal, everyday, honest workers who are just trying to make a couple bucks. They're pretty rough customers. They look the part of basically the scum of the streets of Gilead. And so Russell knows that he's in for it. He actually now his thoughts have gone from riding high on white stallions and shooting muties and saving princesses, to now lying in a ditch dead, having been beat up by a bunch of lice-ridden lowlifes. But he draws his he steels himself, and he remembers the face of his father, and tries to drive the fear out of his heart as the men close in, and he whips out that Bowie knife, and they pause for a second, and then Clay laughs and says, "You should put that away before you get hurt, youngin." And then they close on him, and Russell, he ain't having it. He closes on them first. All right, so this is a hard, brawny challenge. Now, down the road, he of course wants to get his cool gunslinger things, but now he's a brawny guy. So he leaps forward, and he is slashing and screaming, and just any face he sees, he tries to shove either his left fist or he shoves that Bowie knife towards it. See if it does him any good. That's a difficult, so input value 6. Alas. So he can't even spend a resolve, or I mean a karma, to lower the difficulty, unfortunately. So Russ gets some good licks in, and he's got two of the men on the ground, but there's just too many of them, and they're just too mean, and he feels a sharp pain shoot up through his side, and he gets knocked over, and then they just lay on him. They start pounding and kicking, and he doesn't even remember when he blacked out. And of course, they take his fancy knife, because that's what they do. So because he got beat up, he didn't critical fail, but I'm going to say that he's lost. He's lost at least that one resolve. He's lost his resolve. He wakes up to one of the town watch, one of the catch poles, shakes him awake, and he groans, and he looks around, and he can barely open his eyes. He's just his face is bruised, and he can barely move his jaw. His clothes are just shredded. What's left is covered with mud and blood, and he in fact, let's see. Yeah, he got beat up by a pretty good bunch, so I'd say that he loses two resolve. And of course, all of his he feels around for his knife, and he looks almost more concerned about that than the pain that's starting to shoot up all over his body, like from every square inch of his body. He looks around, and he doesn't even remember if he's in the same spot, but the catch pole, the watchman, he says, "You all right, boy? I was getting ready to just call the meat wagon for you." And Russell moans, and, "Well, can you walk? It's getting dark. This ain't the place you want to be laying down in the gutter, son." Russell, he tries to pull himself up, but he just really can't. He doesn't even know how long he's been out. His head is spinning, and his splitting headache, and he lifts him. The watchman helps him to his feet and helps him over to a place where he's at least not laying in the filth. They worked you over. You're lucky you still be alive. Yeah, I bet it was a boxer and his gang. Well, where you live, son? And Russell's tries to tell him through his swollen mouth and his blood encrusted lips. And the watchman manages to catch a few snippets, and he says, "Well, I tell you what, I have to head over that way for my last roving. Me and the boys will help you." And Russell notices that there are actually a couple other watchmen. They're not gunslingers. They don't warrant the big irons or anything. They're armed with clubs and uh, poles and uh, big knives, that kind of thing. Um, Russell knows that he knows he got a couple of good sticks and at least on two of those, and so he's at least thankful that they didn't kill him because he might have killed one or two of them, but he doesn't even care about that anymore. He feels completely defeated. He just got he was on such a high with all those uh, big jokers and kings and oh you're so happy, and then he gets beat up by a bunch of thugs. Um, Now he's questioning if he's ready to even be a gunslinger. If he can't even beat the scum of the earth, how is he going to beat the instructor? But every time he starts thinking too much about those things, his head starts throbbing, and so he just trudges along behind them with one or two of the watchmen helping him along, and then before he knows it, he hears his mom screaming, "Oh my God, Russell boy, what happened?" And the watchman kind of set him down on the inside of the building. He realizes that he's home, and he's looking up at his mom, and she's screaming and touching it. "Oh, and what happened to your clothes? Oh, those are your nice clothes. Oh my gosh!" And just carrying on like moms carry on. And he manages to see the watchman leave, and his mom carrying on, and his dad starting to they're both just bombarding him with questions, and he just blacks out. He blacks out, and we'll call it there. It ran a little long, 39 minutes, but anyway, I was not exactly what I was hoping for Russell. I thought, hey, he's got a cool badass Bowie knife, and then he immediately gets beaten like a punk. Alas, it's the ups and downs of the heroic journey. Well, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll get another one out here relatively soon. Happy gaming.